Every founder I work with has burned through at least 2, 3, 4, if not more salespeople. And they all tell me the same thing, but Ali, I just can't find any good people. But the reality is the salespeople were never really the problem, because every single one of those founders handed them the exact same playbook designed around the same advantage that the CEO has, that no salesperson is ever going to be able to pull off. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that advantage is, why it makes your entire sales playbook completely useless the second someone other than you tries to run it, and what are the 3 things that you need in order to rebuild your sales team so that you can close without you in the room. Look, I've sat across hundreds of different founders stuck in the exact same cycle, and I fix this problem almost every single day. Now, before I get into the 3 steps, you need to understand why your current founder sales playbook doesn't work, because until you see this, none of what I'm about to tell you is going to make any sense. So one of the biggest problems I see with all of my clients is that they are founders, CEOs who are looking to build a sales team, and the founder has already achieved some level of success in selling. You figured out how to sell, but you went into hero mode. You started closing deals, and you started feeling that edification, that gratification of being a winner. And yes, while that's great, but then at some point you realize, okay, well, now let me document this and hand it over to somebody else. So you write down your process, you sit next to a salesperson and tell them, sit right next to me and watch what I do. Here's what I do it. Okay, now you do it. And the second you hand them the reins, they can't sell. So you think, okay, well, this is a bad salesperson. Let me bring in another one. And okay, well, that one didn't work out. Okay, well, let me bring in another one. And ultimately that one doesn't work out. So you now keep getting pulled back into the sales process because the playbook that they're running is the founder sales playbook. And that's the reason why it doesn't work. Because when you're selling as the founder, you have something that the salesperson doesn't have. You're the founder's card, the CEO card. So when you go into sales process and you say something that's maybe a little bit suspect, a little 50-50, the prospect believes it. They say, oh, I don't know if it's true or not, but they ultimately give you the benefit of the doubt because they believe, and they're sitting there thinking that, okay, well, he's the founder, he's the CEO, and even if it's not entirely true, he's gonna make good on the promise. And he's gonna make it happen in some way because he can force production and delivery in the team to do certain things. And I'm talking to the head guy in charge, so there's no one that's gonna be able to supersede him. So they give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay, well now let's flip that, okay? Have you heard the old expression, how do you know a salesperson's lying? When their mouth is moving? That's what the prospect already believes. So anything a salesperson says, the prospect already inherently doesn't really believe it. And so when the salesperson does exactly what you're doing, the exact same things that you were getting latitude for, the salesperson's never gonna get that same latitude. And it's actually going to count against them. All the deals, the way in which you were making the deals, the salesperson is never gonna be able to convert them. Now, anytime I tell a founder this, their initial thought is, okay, well, so what, I'm destined to be the best salesperson in this organization? Well, no, that's not how it works. Because the salesperson has latitude and resources at their disposal that you don't have. A salesperson can hold strong on price because they genuinely might not be able to change it. Whereas a founder, I mean, they can change the price and make it up willy-nilly, and the prospect knows that. A salesperson can pester and follow up every single day and be persistent, and that's fine. But at you, as a founder, the CEO, if you start doing that kind of stuff, the prospect's probably gonna turn around and say, what's wrong with you? Are you hard up for money? So long story short, the answer is not to go and find a salesperson who can be you. The answer is to build a sales playbook that leverages what the salesperson actually has at their disposal instead of trying to replicate what only works for you as a CEO when running it. And that's gonna come down to 3 things. Your salesperson walks into every call and rattles off every award that your company has ever won, every result that your delivery team has ever produced, every case study in the pitch deck, and then the prospect sits there nodding along and, they're never gonna build trust with them. They're never gonna build any credibility with the salesperson because the salesperson is never the one who's delivered those results. So, but when you as the founder come in and say, my company has done X, Y, and Z, my company has won all of these awards, we've delivered these products and these solutions to all of our clients, that's something you will get credit for. So it will build that trust, respect, and authority because the prospect sees you as the person who's responsible for all of that. But when your salesperson delivers all of that and says, my delivery team has done X, Y, and Z, the prospect thinks, okay, cool, that's what your delivery team has done. That you haven't done any of that. So I don't trust you. I don't respect you. And that's the #1 issue that people still don't understand, is that telling the prospect about all of the stuff that your team has done, while yes, it's building credibility in the team, which is not a bad thing. In fact, that's a good thing, but it's never going to build any credibility in that salesperson. And that is where that credibility, trust, and authority ultimately needs to be built first before anything else can happen, because the prospect is going to borrow that trust from that salesperson in order to make a decision. So what the salesperson needs to do is display that level of authority by being very consultative and actually solving a problem for the prospect, not by listing off the company's accolades and hoping that some sort of that credibility rubs off on them. And so what you as a founder and CEO need to do is you need to sit down and craft a strategy, the scripts, the playbooks, the line of questioning in a manner in which to elicit that very specific pain that the salesperson has been trained on solving. This is what's going to build that trust and respect and authority with the salesperson, where now they're going to actually turn and say, okay, I believe you. Now that's the first step. The second thing that you need to do is change the frame your playbook is built on. Because right now, every script, every line of questioning, every objection handle was written by someone who can walk into a room and command the authority just by being a CEO. But your salesperson is out there trying to run that same energy on that prospect. And the prospect is gonna say like, bro, dude, you're just a salesperson. This is your job. Calm down. The founder can hold a much stronger frame. You can position yourself as the authority, just simply with your mannerisms, your tone, by the way you carry yourself. But a salesperson and a CEO are wildly different rungs of that ladder. You're on different places of that totem pole. That's just reality. A lot of people don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. So when a salesperson sits there and says, oh, you need to respect my time and all of this other type of stuff, it's just not a good look. All the other prospects are just gonna say, all right, dude, you're a salesperson. This is your job. Stop getting all butthurt. Just roll with the punches, let water off a duck's back. And that's how the salesperson needs to act. A founder can sun a prospect. You can push and challenge and hold that dominant frame. A salesperson should not be looking to sun a prospect until they have built an immense amount of rapport, trust, and credibility. So if the line of questioning is geared at let me sun you and now you're going to learn today, that instantly creates an unnecessary level of friction and it makes that salesperson come across in a very abrasive manner. So the founder's line of questioning needs to come from that place of authority. That's what works for the founder, the CEO. But the salesperson's line of questioning needs to come from a place of humility until that trust and credibility is built. That's the biggest difference. And that's what most founders never adjust when they're building that playbook for their sales team. All right, now the third thing is the way you close the deal as a founder is very casual. I'm gonna send this agreement over, review it, and let me know. That energy feels very confident and relaxed. But when your salesperson tries the exact same thing, the prospect just goes dark. And then 3 weeks later, your rep is sitting there with this pipeline full of all of these follow-ups that are never going to close. The salesperson needs to close with a very high level of intentionality, asking every little question, almost as if they're checking off all these boxes, crossing all these T's, dotting I's, being very methodical and very process-oriented. The founder gets to act a lot more flippant. All right, okay, just review it and then just execute it, okay? And that works because you as the founder, you've held that frame of, I don't care, I'm just seeing if you qualify to work with me. I'm not gonna chase after you. I'm not going to look to appear desperate. With the founder's frame, that comes across and it gets the job done. With a salesperson, that same flippant attitude does not go over very well. The prospect will never take them seriously, especially if they haven't built that trust and respect and authority that we've already talked about the way that they need to. And so what ends up happening is it goes into a lot of indecision. It goes into a land of follow-up, and then the salesperson can't even close the deal because they did not intentionally set the right stage and intentionally direct the prospect to a decision. And this is what a lot of founders have a very uncomfortable time with, because they're following up on the founder's playbook and they say, oh no, that's gonna sound too sleazy and it's not gonna sound right, it's gonna sound desperate. And yes, it will sound too sleazy, desperate, and not right when the CEO does it. But when a salesperson's job is to be very intentional, it's not sleazy, it's not desperate, if done properly by the salesperson. So those are the 3 things. And if you do these things right, you can actually build a sales team that will be able to close without you. If you're running an agency doing 7 figures or more and your sales team still can't close without you in the room, this is exactly what we help with. My company, Rose Garden, we run a sales assessment where I personally look at your playbooks, your processes, and look at how your team is selling. And I'll show you exactly where the founder's playbook is still embedded in your sales process, and then what you need to do to rebuild the team so they can actually close on their own. The link is in the description. Go fill it out. And if you got something out of this video, subscribe, because everything I put out on this channel is about helping founders stop being the bottleneck in their own sales process. They were never supposed to sell the way you do, and that was the problem the entire time. I'll see you on the next one.